In our relentless pursuit of happiness, why does modern man find himself drowning in despair? Why does the promise of technological, intellectual, and societal progress fail to deliver inner peace? Dostoevsky's notes from Underground may hold the answers. In his haunting portrayal of the underground man, a character torn apart by overthinking, self-awareness, and emotional turmoil, Dostoevsky offers us a chilling reflection of our times. The underground man isn't just a relic of 19th century literature. He is alive and thriving in the digital age. His struggles echo in our lives, where overanalysis often replaces action, and self-awareness breeds self-loathing. Through this exploration, we'll uncover the root causes of modern unhappiness, using Dostoevsky's insights as a lens. This journey will dive into the pitfalls of intellectual arrogance, the existential crisis of free will, and the corrosive power of nihilism. Along the way, we'll enrich our understanding with Buddhist teachings on mindfulness and balance, real-life stories of struggle and redemption, and practical lessons for reclaiming meaning in our chaotic world. The underground man prides himself on being intellectually superior, yet his brilliance traps him in a cycle of inaction and bitterness. He mocks the active man, who acts without overthinking, labeling such behavior as foolish. However, the so-called fools achieve progress and live meaningful lives, while the underground man isolates himself in his mental labyrinth. In Buddhism, this imbalance reflects the concept of prideful delusion, where one's ego inflates due to intellectual accomplishments, creating a disconnect from the present moment. Siddhartha Gautama emphasized that intellectual growth must harmonize with compassion and humility. For example, a modern entrepreneur might achieve great financial success but feel disconnected from family and community. This disconnect arises not from lack of intelligence but from an imbalance between intellect and emotional engagement. Dostoevsky and Buddhist teachings converge on this point. Overthinking without action leads to suffering. By prioritizing mindfulness and the courage to engage with life, we can escape this self-destructive cycle. The struggle with free will, a battle between reason and autonomy. The underground man's exploration of free will is one of Dostoevsky's most profound contributions to the existential discussion of human freedom. Through the underground man, Dostoevsky dissects the tension between rational determinism and the messy, chaotic reality of human choice. This struggle is not unique to 19th century Russia. It remains a cornerstone of modern human discontent. In an age dominated by algorithms, data, and predictions, the question of free will versus determinism looms larger than ever. Rationalism's illusion of control, utilitarianism, and rational egoism, as espoused by thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, argue that humans are primarily motivated by the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. This framework assumes that human behavior can be reduced to logical patterns, actions that maximize utility and minimize discomfort. On the surface, this appears to grant individuals freedom. Make rational decisions, and happiness will follow. However, Dostoevsky, through the underground man, tears apart this worldview. The underground man sees rationalism not as a path to freedom, but as a prison. By reducing humans to predictable agents driven solely by self-interest and utility, rationalism strips away the essence of what makes us human: the ability to choose irrationally, unpredictably, and even self-destructively. In this chaotic freedom lies true autonomy. Buddhist perspective: free will as liberation from craving. The Buddhist understanding of free will provides a counterpoint to the underground man's perspective. While he views free will as the capacity to defy logic and reason, Buddhism interprets it as liberation from the cycle of craving and aversion, the causes of human suffering. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that free will isn't about rebelling against rationality for the sake of chaos. It's about acting with mindfulness and clarity, unshackled by ego-driven desires. This notion aligns with the Buddhist concept of karma, which stresses intentional action. While the underground man seeks to assert his freedom through defiance, Buddhism suggests that true freedom comes from aligning one's intentions with the Dharma, the natural law of existence. A tale of defiance, the underground man's rebellion. For the underground man, free will manifests as a rebellion against deterministic frameworks. He despises the notion that human behavior can be predicted or controlled by external systems, whether they are societal norms, scientific laws, or philosophical doctrines. In his eyes, even choosing actions that harm oneself is an assertion of autonomy. A poignant example from Notes from Underground is his refusal to seek medical help for his liver condition. Despite knowing that treatment could alleviate his suffering, he deliberately avoids it, viewing his defiance as a way to assert control over his life. This act, while irrational and self-destructive, embodies his philosophy. The ability to choose against one's own interest is the ultimate expression of free will. Modern parallels. Free will in the age of algorithms. The underground man's critique resonates deeply in the modern era. Today, algorithms and predictive models shape much of our decision-making, from the ads we see to the media we consume. While these systems promise convenience and efficiency, they also raise existential questions. Are we truly free if our choices are so easily influenced by data-driven predictions? Consider a person scrolling through a streaming platform. The algorithm suggests content based on past behavior, subtly nudging the individual toward choices that align with its predictions. While this may seem harmless, it illustrates a larger issue. When our decisions are shaped by external forces, our autonomy diminishes. The underground man's rebellion reminds us of the importance of reclaiming our agency. While algorithms offer utility, they cannot account for the irrational, spontaneous, and deeply human aspects of decision-making. Embracing these qualities allows us to resist becoming mere cogs in a deterministic system. Buddhist practices to reclaim. Autonomy. Buddhism provides practical tools to navigate the tension between free will and external influence. Mindfulness meditation, for instance, helps individuals cultivate awareness of their thoughts and actions, enabling them to make intentional choices rather than reactive ones. By observing the mind without judgment, practitioners can identify patterns of craving and aversion, breaking free from their grip. For example, imagine someone feeling the urge to check social media during a moment of boredom. Through mindfulness, they recognize this urge as a habitual reaction, not a true need. Instead of acting impulsively, they can choose a different response, such as engaging in a creative activity or simply sitting with the discomfort. This deliberate action represents a reclaiming of free will, a conscious decision unshaped by external stimuli. Historical context: Dostoevsky's era and the modern world. Dostoevsky wrote Notes from Underground during a time of great intellectual and social change. The rise of scientific determinism and utilitarian philosophies promised a utopian future guided by reason. However, Dostoevsky foresaw the dangers of such a worldview. By prioritizing efficiency and predictability, These ideologies risked dehumanizing individuals, reducing them to mere components in a rational system. This critique is strikingly relevant today. The digital age, with its emphasis on optimization and quantification, often prioritizes outcomes over individuality. Workplaces reward efficiency, but overlook creativity. Social platforms amplify engagement, but neglect genuine connection. In such an environment, the struggle for free will become a fight to preserve one's humanity. Real-life example: choosing chaos over comfort. To illustrate the underground man's philosophy, consider the story of Marcus, a corporate executive who left his high-paying job to pursue a nomadic lifestyle. Despite societal expectations and financial stability, Marcus felt trapped in a deterministic cycle, where every action was dictated by the pursuit of success. His decision to abandon this life was not rational. It involved risk, uncertainty, and criticism from peers, but it was deeply human. This act of rebellion mirrors the underground man's assertion that free will often defies logic. However, unlike the underground man, Marcus found fulfillment in his choices by aligning them with his values, demonstrating that freedom doesn't have to be chaotic. It can be purposeful. Bridging Dostoevsky and Buddhism, the middle way. The underground man's defiance of rationality and the Buddhist pursuit of mindfulness might seem at odds, but they share a common goal: affirming human individuality. Where they diverge is in execution. While the underground man embraces chaos to assert his freedom, Buddhism advocates for balance, the middle way. This approach suggests that true autonomy lies not in rejecting rationality outright, but in integrating it with intuition, compassion, and presence. By walking the middle way, individuals can navigate the complexities of life without succumbing to the extremes of determinism or anarchy. Conclusion: the power of choice. The struggle with free will is central to the human experience. Dostoevsky's Underground Man challenges us to confront the limits of rationality, while Buddhism offers a path to transcend them. Together, they remind us that freedom is not about choosing chaos or predictability. It's about the courage to choose it all. In a world increasingly governed by external forces, reclaiming our agency is both a personal and collective challenge. Whether through mindfulness, rebellion, or deliberate action, the journey to autonomy begins with a single, intentional choice: nihilism and modern despair. The endless void of meaninglessness. At the heart of Notes from Underground lies Dostoevsky's critique of nihilism, a philosophy that rejects inherent meaning in life, morality, and existence itself. The underground man embodies the consequences of embracing such a worldview: isolation, despair, and a self-destructive withdrawal from society. While nihilism was a burgeoning concept in Dostoevsky's time, its resonance has only deepened in modernity. Today, the existential crises of the underground man are echoed in the struggles of individuals navigating a world increasingly devoid of shared purpose or values. The roots of nihilism. A crisis of faith and reason. Nihilism emerged as a reaction to the decline of religious authority and the rise of scientific rationalism in the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution brought immense technological progress, but also disconnection from traditional ways of life. As science sought to explain the universe in empirical terms, it eroded the metaphysical frameworks that had once provided comfort and meaning. For Dostoevsky, this shift was alarming. He saw in it a void, a spiritual emptiness that threatened to engulf humanity. The underground man, with his profound sense of purposelessness, is a direct product of this void. Detached from any sense of moral or spiritual grounding, he exists in a state of perpetual discontent, unable to find meaning even in his suffering. Modern nihilism, the age of disconnection. Fast forward to today, and nihilism has taken on new forms. In an era defined by rapid technological advancement, global interconnectedness, and the relentless pursuit of individualism, many find themselves grappling with a profound sense of disconnection. Despite having more access to knowledge, entertainment, and opportunities than ever before, modern individuals often feel adrift, lacking a sense of purpose or community. Social media amplifies this crisis. Platforms designed to connect people often exacerbate feelings of inadequacy and isolation. The constant comparison to curated versions of others' lives can lead to despair, as individuals feel their own experiences pale in comparison. Much like the underground man who retreats into his underground to escape society, many modern individuals withdraw into virtual spaces or self-imposed isolation. The psychological toll of nihilism. Nihilism exerts a heavy psychological toll. The belief that life lacks meaning can lead to depression, anxiety, and a sense of futility. For the underground man, this manifests in his refusal to seek medical help for his liver condition, a metaphorical representation of his spiritual decay. He sees no point in improving his circumstances because he believes nothing truly matters. In modern society, this mindset is reflected in phenomena such as burnout and existential fatigue. When people feel their work, relationships, or personal endeavors lack significance, they often disengage, mirroring the underground man's self-destructive tendencies. This detachment can take many forms, from apathy and procrastination to more severe consequences like addiction or self-harm. Nihilism in pop culture. The pervasiveness of nihilism can be observed in popular culture, where it is both critiqued and glamorized. Television shows, films, and music frequently explore themes of existential dread and the search for meaning in a chaotic world. Characters like BoJack Horseman in the eponymous series embody the struggle against nihilistic despair, using humor and introspection to navigate their existential crises. While such portrayals resonate with audiences, they also risk normalizing cynicism and despair. The challenge lies in finding narratives that offer hope without dismissing the complexity of modern existential struggles. Buddhism's answer to nihilism. Where Dostoevsky critiques nihilism, Buddhism offers a path out of its grip. The Buddha's teachings address the fundamental dissatisfaction, known as dukkha, that lies at the heart of human experience. Unlike nihilism, which denies meaning altogether, Buddhism acknowledges suffering but provides a framework for transcending it. The Four Noble Truths outline this framework. Life contains suffering. Suffering arises from attachment and craving. Freedom from suffering is possible by letting go of attachments. The Eightfold Path offers a practical guide to achieving liberation. This approach provides a stark contrast to the underground man's despair. While he wallows in his misery, Buddhism encourages action, specifically the cultivation of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. By shifting focus from existential dread to present-moment awareness, individuals can break free from the nihilistic cycle. Real-life stories, from despair to purpose. To illustrate this transformation, consider the story of Sarah, a young professional who felt trapped in a high-stress corporate job. Despite her success, she struggled with feelings of emptiness and disillusionment. Inspired by mindfulness practices, Sarah began volunteering at a local community center, teaching underprivileged children. Through this work, she discovered a renewed sense of purpose, finding joy in small acts of kindness and connection. Similarly, Alex, a retiree facing loneliness, turned to meditation after attending a Buddhist retreat. By embracing the practice of loving kindness, Alex shifted his focus from his own isolation to fostering relationships within his community. These real-life examples demonstrate the power of mindfulness and service in combating nihilistic despair. The Buddhist concept of emptiness. Buddhism's concept of shunyata, or emptiness, provides a deeper philosophical counterpoint to nihilism. While nihilism views emptiness as a void devoid of meaning, Buddhism interprets it as the absence of inherent self-nature. This realization is not cause for despair, but liberation. By understanding that all phenomena are interdependent and transient, individuals can let go of rigid attachments and embrace life's impermanence. For the underground man, this perspective would have been revolutionary. Instead of seeing his isolation and suffering as meaningless, he could have recognized them as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Practical steps to overcome modern nihilism. To combat nihilism in the modern world, individuals can draw on both Dostoevsky's warnings and Buddhist practices. Cultivate mindfulness. Regular meditation can help individuals reconnect with the present moment, reducing feelings of disconnection and despair. Engage in meaningful activities. Volunteering, creative pursuits, and community involvement provide a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Challenge negative thought patterns. Like the underground man, many people become trapped in cycles of self-criticism and doubt. Cognitive reframing can help shift these patterns. Seek connection. Building genuine relationships counters the isolation that fuels nihilistic despair. Conclusion: rediscovering meaning. Nihilism may feel inescapable in a world where traditional structures of meaning have crumbled, but Dostoevsky and Buddhism offer alternative paths. The underground man serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the dangers of retreating into despair. Buddhism, on the other hand, provides a roadmap for reclaiming purpose through mindfulness, compassion, and intentional living. Ultimately, the struggle against nihilism is a deeply human endeavor. By embracing life's uncertainties and forging connections with others, we can transcend the void and rediscover meaning in the everyday. This journey is not easy, but it is profoundly rewarding, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Real-life stories: overcoming nihilism and finding meaning. Real-life stories have the power to bring abstract concepts like nihilism and existential despair into tangible, relatable terms. These narratives offer hope and illustrate how individuals can break free from the grip of meaninglessness to rediscover purpose and fulfillment. The struggles of the underground man are mirrored in countless contemporary lives, but just as many individuals have found ways to overcome these challenges and embrace the richness of existence. Emma, escaping the trap of overthinking. Emma was a brilliant young academic, pursuing a PhD in neuroscience. On paper, her life seemed perfect. She was publishing groundbreaking research, earning accolades, and building a promising career. Yet, behind this facade of success, Emma felt hollow. She spent sleepless nights obsessing over every detail of her work, terrified of making mistakes. Her relentless perfectionism left her paralyzed, unable to enjoy even her achievements. Her breaking point came when she realized that her isolation and self-criticism mirrored the underground man's internal torment. Determined to escape this cycle, Emma began practicing mindfulness meditation. By focusing on her breath and observing her thoughts without judgment, she learned to quiet the constant overanalysis that had taken over her life. She also started volunteering at a local animal shelter. The simple act of caring for abandoned animals gave her a sense of purpose and connection she had never felt in her academic pursuits. Emma's transformation demonstrates that stepping out of the mental underground requires a combination of mindfulness, self-compassion, and active engagement with the world. Ravi, choosing passion over pragmatism. Ravi was a successful software engineer working for a prestigious tech company in Silicon Valley. Despite his six-figure salary and luxurious lifestyle, he felt unfulfilled. Every day felt like a repetition of the last, endless coding, meetings, and a constant pressure to perform. Ravi began questioning the purpose of his work and whether his life truly mattered. He described the feeling as being on a treadmill going nowhere. One day, inspired by Buddhist teachings he had read online, Ravi made a bold decision. He left his job to start an organic farm in rural Oregon. The move was met with skepticism from friends and family, who viewed it as irrational and financially risky. However, Ravi found joy in working with his hands, cultivating crops, and living in harmony with nature. The act of growing food for his community gave him a profound sense of purpose. Ravi's story reflects a critical lesson. Pursuing what aligns with your values, even if it seems impractical, can lead to a deeply fulfilling life. His journey also highlights the Buddhist principle of right livelihood, which emphasizes work that contributes positively to oneself and others. Sarah, finding strength in vulnerability. Sarah was a marketing executive who always prided herself on her independence. She worked long hours, climbing the corporate ladder, but the stress began taking a toll on her mental health. She avoided addressing her struggles, believing that seeking help was a sign of weakness. Over time, Sarah became increasingly isolated, retreating into her own underground. Her turning point came during a wellness retreat that introduced her to Buddhist teachings. A guided, loving-kindness meditation brought her face-to-face with the depth of her loneliness. The practice, which involves sending goodwill to oneself and others, helped Sarah recognize that her isolation was rooted in fear and self-judgment. She began attending therapy and joined a support group, where she shared her experiences openly for the first time. Through these steps, Sarah rebuilt her sense of connection and discovered that vulnerability is a source of strength, not weakness. Her story illustrates how breaking free from nihilism often requires reaching out and embracing interdependence, a concept central to Buddhist philosophy. Alex, embracing the present in retirement. Alex was a retired professor who had spent decades devoted to his academic career. After retiring, he found himself feeling purposeless and adrift. Without the structure and identity provided by his work, he began to question the value of his existence. His days were consumed by regret over the past and anxiety about the future. A neighbor introduced Alex to walking meditation, a Buddhist practice that involves mindful awareness during movement. Initially skeptical, Alex decided to try it during his morning walks. The practice helped him focus on the sensations of each step, the sounds of birds, and the rustle of leaves. Over time, Alex began to feel a renewed appreciation for the small moments of life. He also started mentoring young students at a local community center, sharing his knowledge and experiences. Alex's story is a testament to the transformative power of mindfulness and service. By grounding himself in the present and contributing to others, he found a sense of purpose that transcended his earlier achievements. Maya, turning pain into purpose. Maya's life was shattered when she lost her husband to a sudden illness. Overwhelmed by grief, she withdrew from her social circle, spending her days reliving memories and questioning the fairness of life. She felt consumed by the existential dread that often accompanies profound loss. One day, Maya stumbled upon a Buddhist podcast discussing impermanence, the idea that all things are transient. This concept resonated deeply with her, shifting her perspective on loss. Inspired, Maya began attending a local meditation group and journaling about her experiences. Eventually, she decided to channel her pain into action. Maya founded a support group for widows and widowers, creating a space for others to share their stories and heal together. Her journey from despair to compassion exemplifies the Buddhist teaching that suffering, when embraced with awareness, can become a source of growth and connection. James, breaking free from digital isolation. James was a college student who spent most of his time online. Social media and gaming had become his escape from the pressures of academic life, but they also deepened his feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. The more he compared himself to others online, the more disconnected he felt from reality. During a philosophy class, James encountered Dostoevsky's notes from Underground. The underground man's isolation and despair struck a chord, prompting James to reflect on his own life. He began limiting his screen time and exploring offline activities, such as hiking and attending community events. Inspired by the Buddhist practice of mindful technology use, James also started setting intentional goals for his online interactions, focusing on meaningful connections rather than mindless scrolling. Over time, he built a stronger sense of self and found joy in face-to-face relationships, common threads and lessons. These stories, though diverse, share common threads: mindfulness. By cultivating present-moment awareness, individuals broke free from cycles of overthinking and despair. Purposeful action. Engaging in activities aligned with their values helped them rediscover meaning. Connection. Building relationships and contributing to others' well-being fostered a sense of belonging and fulfillment. Embracing change. Whether through meditation, service, or creativity, these individuals learned to navigate life's impermanence with resilience. The power of real-life transformation. The struggles of the underground man are not confined to Dostoevsky's pages. They are universal challenges that many face. However, as these real-life stories demonstrate, it is possible to move beyond despair and nihilism. By embracing mindfulness, purpose, and connection, individuals can transform their lives, finding richness and meaning even in the face of life's uncertainties. These stories remind us that, while the journey out of the underground is not easy, it is profoundly worth it. The first step is often the hardest, but it is also the beginning of a brighter, more purposeful path forward.